All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Tsukimonogatari, Episode 3. Araragi, he do be a vampire.
Yep. Separate from Shinobu.
Separate.
That's kind of the big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, and what does that mean for him as a person and their whole dynamic? And then, how does Yotsugi tie into all of this? And
Right. Yeah, I assume we'll get a lot more of Yotsugi and her yay, and Kagenui being the one kind of being the proper exposition.
Expositor, yes.
Yeah, exactly. In the previous episode, giving us a little bit of an understanding how things are. If I think if we continue this to its natural conclusion, Araragi.
He's got to figure something out.
But I wonder in a lot of ways what he can get as actual help from someone else with this.
Right.
This is in some ways his next big, I would say, separation from characters that are family to him.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone. We're going to be starting the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Ooh, beautiful. Blood. Oh.
Okay.
Because it's just reality. That's what he's got to deal with. Yeah, and it was his recklessness and, actions that let this go into excess. That being said, yeah.
Right.
Humans are more than their bodies.
All right. Involving Shinobu. Oh.
Okay.
Sure, yeah, I mean, if this got him into this situation, then theoretically the opposite, would be the way to at very least stop it, if not reverse it. Although
I guess in some ways it's not actually about reversing, it's about keeping the status quo.
Right.
So if they're saying that this situation is okay, that this is something Araragi is fine remaining in, then keeping the status quo would be a relatively decent solution. However, I don't think all parties would be excited about the status quo staying this way.
Well, Araragi's vampire state in Kizu was, directly tied to his deteriorating mental state, right? He wasn't doing well, right? The fact that they're bringing this up again seems like it still is that, right? Rather than him having found a balance with it, like it seemed to be earlier on in the series. So maybe him essentially forsaking that vampire side of himself is the equivalent of him moving on from the dark places that he's been in and sort of putting it behind him.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's moving on at all. I feel like if he's just accepting that this is the way things are and there's nothing he can do to change it, it's Oh. Okay.
All right. Hmm.
Uh-huh. Wow,
Yeah.
I love the way they're drawing Araragi. He
Hmm.
looks really good.
Wow.
So might as well kill you, yeah.
Hmm. That's one of the things I've kind of been wondering about is if Araragi is becoming an independent vampire, then would it be something where Shinobu would start to revert herself?
Hmm. I love her poses.
Hmm.
They're so hilarious.
She is saying things with a posed look.
Yeah, yeah. But she's also positioned herself in the middle of everything here.
Hmm.
But they're just there. Huh.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, what do you want, Araragi?
Well, and all the darkness like coming out of like the berserk style eclipsed sun or moon or whatever it is.
It's a moon. Oh. Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm. Right.
Awesome. But there's the consequences that come from that then. So, okay. At least they just cleared things up for him though. Oh, no, wait. That's not it. Hmm. Yeah. Gotcha. So it's like a representation of the rampant vampire power. Seen through so easily.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. Based on what nearly happened a while ago. Okay. Alright.
Shinobu's still turned the other way.
Yeah. Ah.
Hmm.
Hmm. Wow.
Hmm.
Oh, oh.
Wait a minute.
Gain interfering like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Hold on. Tadatsuru. Okay.
Hmm.
Oh. Oh. Oh, crap. Because he's not using his
Right, his vampire
powers. So right.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, poor Araragi. Okay. So they're not here. But what happened? That's a good point. Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, what's that little paper crane thing there? Whoa.
1,000 paper cranes. Oh, were they doing... Maybe his sisters were trying to do 1,000 paper cranes to wish that Araragi would be okay and all that stuff.
Okay, no, I guess it was his. It's Taratsuru.
Oh.
Suki Phoenix, yeah.
Gotcha. We're dealing with Tsukihi and Tsukimonogatari. All right.
Teori Taratsuru. Oh, a doll master.
Before, Kagenui was holding her phone in the same way that Araragi's holding the cranes.
He doesn't want it to touch the ground. Okay. Yes. Yes, it is. Music is quite eerie. I like it. Again, with that divine punishment, compensation, atonement kind of stuff, Araragi. Huh! Divine punishment says timing is never really too good. That's cool.
Okay. So someone's been watching you, Araragi.
Oh, no. That's an unnerving feeling. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, because that could be a problem.
They're making snow. Okay, then how would you describe? Okay.
All right. Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Just immediately answers.
Right. Stuff happens. It doesn't have to be some kind of,
Mm-hmm.
punishment for you just because it happens to somewhat negatively affect you. It doesn't have to be related to your decisions.
Hmm.
Well, that means that Gein's already manipulated this situation then. Hmm. Puzzle within the origami.
All right.
Hmm. Them in the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
I think at least there's the potential for Kagenui helping. Huh, huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Huh. All right.
I'm
I'm
was not expecting this.
I'm almost well, yeah, I wasn't expecting this either, but
No.
I feel like the thing I'm most surprised by, other than the sudden new character that has kidnapped the three of them
And has not even been introduced yet, really.
right, other than by word of mouth,
Yeah.
is the idea that they're making it seem like it's definitely going to be a fight. Now, maybe most of that is Araragi, but you know.
Well, I think that's why they're helping.
Sure. But like Monogatari rarely has things actually need to be resolved by fights, you know? And if it is, it's usually a fight where it's a fight of the internals, like Hanakawa versus the tiger.
I mean, sure,
you know?
but fights still end up happening like quite a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
It's less about shoulds or haves and just like what people end up choosing.
Well, yeah, I guess in this situation it is very much not as a direct result of the aberration situation, so, and that's usually where the fights do end up happening, is when it's someone else.
But I don't buy that completely. Gain is influencing this situation.
Right. Uh-huh.
When you have someone that has the ability to, know everything that's going on, and she was fine with things going as they were up until she called.
Right.
That was her influencing the situation. Be like, no, I need things to change a little bit. Okay, we've got ourselves a
showdown.
Well, something. We've got a character that we've heard of in name thus far.
Right.
I don't think it's a secret identity for any character we've already met thus far. I think we're just about to legitimately meet a new character.
Although before they actually
is a specialist,
right, and before they specifically came out and said his name, I was wondering if they were going for like that it was going to be some kind of like new perspective on Oshino or something like that. But okay, so he's taken Aragi's sisters and Tsuruga, and now they have to go save them. But the thing is, we don't know much about his intentions other than he's going after Araragi and Shinobu, right? Because of the timing of everything.
Well, sure, but it's more that these two are aberrations,
right?
And though the three girls aren't, so
yeah,
he would have no reason to kidnap them unless it was tied for them. I feel like the timing thing of it is where things are getting a little bit iffy because Gain's involved.
Right.
So I can't trust really anything that's being said within the context of Kagenui here. Because one, I would assume she doesn't really know that much, like in terms of what's going on with Gain's plan or have you.
She's obviously very intelligent because she's a specialist, so she can rationalize a lot based on the information that she's given.
Right, but if she knows something, there's nothing in this there's no motivation that she should have to tell Araragi much of anything.
Yeah.
The main stuff that she does tell him is kind of helping him understand the situation
within himself.
Which I would say she's telling him because he's a human being. And,
right. And she would like it to stay that way. Like, even though he is going back into being kind of into his vampire state, she wants to keep him from becoming, a Heart Underblade 2, right?
Or just have to deal with
exactly
actual Heart Underblade 1.0.
Yeah, no one wants that.
I mean, she'd probably on some level her motivation would love to just have the problem be done with, and not have to think about it anymore.
Right, because that is definitely her approach to things. But yeah, anytime Gain gets involved directly, it's bizarre because if you have someone that's all knowing, right? They should never be surprised by anything. So anytime they bring you new information, if it's to correct something, you would think that it's not to wholly correct it, because otherwise they probably would have done something earlier, right? You know, like,
this is an adjustment.
Right, this is an adjustment.
Which means that everything else happening here is perfectly fine.
Right, exactly.
Which means they don't care about Araragi's sisters or Suruga
what I'm
being
guessing,
like in danger, because this is going to lead to a better conclusion. Either way.
I'm guessing if I had to guess, it's because of the fact that Gain tried to make Shinobu a god. Right?
Okay.
So Araragi's tied to Shinobu. There you go. That's a connection point there. And Gain could potentially, since Sengoku has given up being a god, then Gain might be trying to get Shinobu to go back to Plan A and have Shinobu become a god. If that's the case, then Araragi would kind of need to be removed from the equation somehow. But
that doesn't seem to be her goal either.
But that doesn't seem to be her goal. Certainly not from the standpoint of any kind of direct, forceful method, because otherwise she could just do it anytime she wanted.
Well, she wouldn't have a helpful Shinobu if that was the case either.
That too. So if they could make it so that Araragi goes through this process, right? Because if everything is going according to plan more or less so far, then this is all one of the steps, right?
Right. It kind of reminds me in a lot of ways, since we're bringing up the whole context of Araragi's past and how, there's a lot of things where he's assuming that he deserves some level of punishment,
right,
and stuff, what have you. One of the annoying things about when you're not doing well mentally or emotionally is people walk on eggshells around you.
Oh,
and
sure.
Araragi having Gain being this person that constantly does that kind of stuff, but always does it indirectly and does it surrounding all this other stuff, kind of feels like that in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Having this superior, supreme kind of like adult kind of kind of character going around and being like, yo, fellow kids, like, like you all, I'm trying to maneuver things in a specific way. And it's like, oh, yeah, Gain, you don't want to, like...
Yeah, and
this isn't that important to you that you are actually here, but it is so important that you need to change things. You don't talk about, like, why this is or anything like that? Nope.
Yeah.
Like, not according to Cake.
Yeah, although you gotta wonder with someone like Gain, if she really does know everything, I can imagine she would walk on eggshells around pretty much everybody. Not in any, like deep sense, but in that she's essentially, with the butterfly effect and all that, everything she does has, ramifications and consequences and things like that. So it probably does make it simpler for her to just not be around most of the time. That way, she can alter things with precision.
Possibly. We've got Araragi having another kind of episode with a lot of conversation of him kind of getting exposited to regarding things. And it felt like this episode, they kind of acknowledged, this exposition is getting a little intense. We're going to have some really levity-inducing, funny, just background stuff. That in some ways was so funny, it actually became a little distracting from the actual like exposition stuff.
Right.
I'm like,
I want to pay attention to both.
I had to pay attention to both, but...
Right. Because like, usually I feel like Monogatari will use all the other stuff that's on camera as a way to make sure that you're properly paying attention and invested in what's happening, and sort of the additional layers to it, right? Because it's very relevant, usually a lot with like the fan service and things like that, right? And in this situation, I was just trying to think like, okay, how does Shinobu and Yotsugi having a snowball fight, like how does that correlate to
nothing. It's just levity.
It's just good fun.
It's just good fun. If anything, it's reminding us that these two almost fought, and this is them competing with each other.
That is true.
And just the fact that Yotsugi
snowballs walking on top
Yotsugi is getting a little bit of comeuppance here and there, reminding her like, I could kill you. Like I could totally.
Right. Yeah. You can't go back to that.
Right.
That vampire state and all that stuff. So
let's have a snowball kind of war, what have you, where I get to lord over my strength over you.
Yeah.
And Shinobu's just like, please, no.
Yeah, she didn't say anything with a posed look, but she definitely said things while having a posed look.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Which is another thing that adds into the whole idea of Shinobu's pride being stepped on in the previous episode, where she was actually like stepped on.
Pride and
yes, she conjured her throne and her goth dress and everything, and and laughed from on high. But there were a lot of times this episode where Shinobu was like on screen, but she was specifically turned away. Now that could be that it's something where she was not the focus at this given point in time.
She's
it was
not
about
speaking.
Araragi, right?
Yeah.
She's not speaking.
Yeah.
But it also seems like it's something where there's kind of maybe a little bit of regression in her own way to maybe how she was in Bake, where she was on screen but very much like separate and not doing anything. Because when I'm thinking about how this is going to have to resolve in some way or other, the very fact that Araragi has the danger of becoming a full-fledged vampire separate from Shinobu, right? That is an alteration in their current relationship, right? And if it's something where their fates are essentially tied,
well, of course, yeah,
then
they are,
right, which they are.
Yeah.
Then basically whatever change is happening for Araragi, I feel like there's going to be at the very least some rippling consequences for Shinobu.
Yes. Like, and I think that's probably the biggest part of it, is that Shinobu is not involved in a discussion where she is actually getting potentially some consequences based on the choices that Araragi makes. That's that's got to not feel too great. But I think it's more also a thing of where Shinobu just isn't a fan of these two.
Yeah, and that is definitely true.
It's just really easy to just be like, I talk to the hand. She's like being a cat right now.
I'm not acknowledging
you two.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a part of me that wonders though, like when they were bringing up the whole idea of Araragi becoming more and more like more and more of a vampire. And specifically talking about how things were in Kizu and how all of that was resolved and everything. And I got to keep a divide in my mind of when they were talking about Kizu versus when they were talking about the stuff with Tsukihi. But there's a part of me that wonders if there would ever be sort of like a closed circle reversal or whatever of the stuff that happened in Kizu as a way for Shinobu to try and give Araragi his life back.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I feel like one of the problems with that is that Shinobu doesn't have Araragi's life in her power. That's not something she has.
Sure, so maybe it's instead something where she's feeling lonely again?
Well, they're more equals, I would say. If anything, I would say that it's something where we had a little bit of an insight into how things were being set up with regards to Araragi's arc. In the beginning of this arc, there was that little bit of Shinobu just kind of sitting there on her chair and kind of talking to Araragi and giving a little bit of exposition there. But Araragi maybe being the one that's kind of maybe too readily accepting of things being the way things are and not wanting to change them. He's got that combination of accepting their idea of like, oh, we can keep things in the status quo area here if you swear that you promise never to use your vampire powers again, which is like, we all know how stories work.
Yeah, exactly. And
Araragi will use his vampire powers again.
Well, and the idea of, even just right now, I know that if Senjigahara or Hanakawa were ever in serious danger and me using my vampire powers could save them, there would be no question about it, no hesitation. Yeah.
So if anything, I feel like Shinobu is just seeing, because of her age, and wisdom that comes with that.
Yeah.
The probable likelihood of how events play out, but that this is Araragi's decision and she can't do anything to stop it. He also kind of harped on multiple times how this does seem like there's some kind of cosmic fate that's willing this all to happen, and it's very just unfortunate that it all goes this way. And Kaganui keeps kind of being like, or even both of them, Yotsuki and Kaganui, are just like, I don't know what your insistence is with that. Like, this is something that this definitely affects you because it was, you know, Tsukihikara and Suruga that were taken, but this isn't some like, oh, yes, this is punishment for you using your vampire powers too much. If anything, it's more of just convenience.
Right, where if someone was wanting to get at you or Shinobu, they would wait until you're in this precarious situation where you can't rely on them or bad stuff will happen. Yeah.
Right. I think that's a viewpoint, though, of someone who does feel like a powerless person, though, is... and I think that might be why this brought it up, because I was having it percolate a lot in my head, you know, I was going through the discussion with you here, and that is the thought of someone who believes that they're powerless. So if he's going through this situation where he's realizing that his vampire powers won't be something that he can tap into in the future, the idea that a power in the environment is throwing these penal, like, kind of burdens upon you. Yeah, it's like that kind of viewpoint, mindset, what have you, feels a little bit like it's connected to something else as well. And I almost wonder, wasn't there a point in the past where he was kind of feeling like he deserved like some level of punishment? Was that Kizu, actually?
Well, it was definitely there in Kizu.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that actually kind of threw me for a loop with regards to seeing how badly Araragi was doing back then, because a lot of it was as a result of him being a vampire, right? Which, you know, so it was sort of like, oh yeah, it makes sense that question would be asked. But but if it means more than that, if it's a question that was kind of already spinning around in his head, and then this is just a manifestation of that for it to be a convenient time to speak it out loud, kind of.
Sure.
You know, because like I feel like it's kind of like the thing of where the people that most doubt whether someone's telling the truth are the people that most often use deception, you know? Like where you see what you sort of imprint your own internals onto the world around you.
Even if it's just self-deception.
Right, even if it's self-deception, right? You know, and so in the case here with Araragi wondering if this is all something that's sort of conspiring against him or something like that, if he's getting punished, if it's because he punishes himself internally, right?
Yeah. But we've got a new character we're going to meet soon. We're headed towards the North Shirahebi Shrine. Poor Araragi having to deal with the fact that he can't do all these things there. But it's a cool kind of picture of something that was being brought up in earlier episodes discussion for this arc. And that is that, you know, Araragi, it's okay to let other people help you.
Yes. Well, and also, one of the things that I thought was kind of, like, because Monogatari changes up the order of the arcs a bunch, you know, it's all based on when it's thematically relevant, right? So, if there's an arc that is in a place that is non-linear, then that means it has a lot of thematic relevance. And so, going back to the linear so, for instance, in the case of Hana Monogatari, right? Araragi made an appearance in Hana Monogatari. Now, given that we had fully Zen realized Araragi there with his new hair and everything, and then here we have Araragi going through struggle and an arc and focus and all that stuff, and needing to go through a period of growth, right? What can we tell maybe about how Araragi was there as far as relevance to here and specific lessons he might need to learn?
Okay. But we don't know actually when.
Yeah, we don't know when, and that's what's great about it, is that
there's
could be here, or
probably some
it could
clue, but I can't immediately tell when exactly we are. There's certain things where it's obvious, but then there's other things where I'm like, oh, I don't know exactly when we are.
Right, because he's going to keep growing over the course of the show until the show's over, and that kind of felt like after the show was over, you know?
Well, okay, let me backtrack here. Now, we know we're after Nadeko Medusa.
Right.
We know we're after that.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know how close to graduation we are, basically.
Right. And close,
no, we do know. It's like a month or something, right?
I can't remember the exact day time, but the thing is that
sorry guys, I've been sick a lot recently, so that's just why I'm mixing up these things. But
but one of the other things about Monogatari though is because the story is non-linear, and there will be times where there's time skips, and there actually is like time where nothing much really happened during that space, and then there's times where you think nothing happens during that space, and then they go back and fill it in later. There is the possibility that like the actual amount of days left until graduation, because graduation I'm guessing is the end of the show,
it's only about a month until you take the college entrance exams. Okay, gotcha.
But there could be any amount.
Gotcha.
February 13th.
So yeah, it's close to Valentine's Day. Gotcha.
Right, and
which means we are.
I believe around April is when the new year starts.
Right,
so
but that means we're 6 weeks past Hitagi end, or like the beginning of Hitagi end.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like there's, yeah. I don't know. It's just one of those things where the more they focus on Araragi and him and the idea that there is growth that is happening and needs to continue to happen, it makes me really curious how much can be read into from the stuff in Hana and what we saw of him there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Of
course I want to see if it's related to Shinobu because I'm a Shinobu fan, but you know.
I mean, who doesn't love Shinobu?
like we didn't see Shinobu and it was nighttime over there. Does that mean they still have the connection and she's still in his shadow, or is she actually gone and that's why we didn't see her, you know? Like, I don't know.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there, and any level of support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. And you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yep. I wrote a sci-fi novel. It's called Battle Lines, in case you haven't heard. And it's on Amazon. Link in the description down below. Go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.